Live from the mighty Veedverks Airship, we have a whole gaggle of people here.
We're a gaggle.
We have Carter Baird, the pot scientist.
Just ahead.
He's just ahead.
I'm only ahead.
No, just say I'm ahead.
I'm ahead.
Yes, exactly.
But you look like you look normal. It doesn't look like you're just ahead.
It's weird.
But think about it. You're ahead in many different areas. Like instead of a nerd, you're ahead.
Well, yeah, that's. And only stoners would have thought of that. Is I'm ahead.
I'm the least stoner of the group.
I come in first or second.
Yeah. Of the least stoner? Yeah, but at least you know more about it.
Although I just brought the birthday gift.
Yes, you did. Yes, she did. Oh, and Bubba brought some.
I know, right?
Yes, and then I
So
have
we're
some
just
Restorative
matching a
Botanical.
huge
Yeah,
bowl
I brought
together like
the
family.
I don't know what's going
Yes.
on
Like
right
Someone
now.
with Banner for putting
Did it
something.
stop?
We're making a new show.
You're making a new show. It's just going where it's going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Julie's birthday. That's why everybody is.
Even recording.
I may even get over there by Anna Marie's because it seems like.
Oh, get in there. Do you want me to move?
Yeah.
You're good.
We have Jenny Gold
Yeah, she's not. It's like.
Hi, everybody.
and Pamela Orth from Restorative Botanicals.
There we go.
And Julie again.
Yes.
And Anne-Marie Doyle from Nuvolution. And Gunny and Louis Zerobnick from Plant the Cure.
Oh, there's a delay. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I'll get this fired up.
Otherwise,
Julie's playing
we
musical
get it going.
chairs.
right?
Yes.
Otherwise known as Bubba.
There's no way we're live.
We have two Bubbas.
Oh, we're totally live.
We're live?
Oh yeah.
No.
Yes.
Oh my God! Really?
I think so.
So what do we do?
Not happening.
We
today.
talk. We expound on the wonderfulness of the cannabinoid plants.
Yeah.
The cannabinoid. Well, what's wonderful to me is the endocannabinoid system.
Exactly.
That it's and that has nothing to do with the plant. Like the endocannabinoid system evolved way before the cannabis plant. It's involved in like sponges and shit. All mammals have it. Pretty much everything but insects.
Yeah.
For some reason. So you can't get mosquitoes high, you stoner.
Just want to kill the mosquitoes.
But
They
you
don't
can
deserve it.
definitely get your dog high, stoner.
So you don't think that the marijuana plant or the hemp plant evolved first or simultaneously? You think that
Yeah,
People
cannabis
did
like in the history of Earth, there was time when there wasn't even plants on land. There were still plants in the sea. Plants evolved in the sea first. And endocannabinoids, like in the workings of animals, evolved in the sea, like in sponges, in
isn't
jellyfish
aren't
or
there
something.
cannabinoids in kelp and all
Yeah.
these things too?
Well,
So then
I'm
wouldn't
not
they
so
have-
sure about plants specifically. I must admit, I only think of the animals.
The mammals of the world.
Yeah, all the mammals can. Your cat can definitely get high.
Oh, my
Your
cat
dog
gets high.
can
Right, but
My dog
they have a larger
prefers to get high.
endocannabinoid system than we do. But I was just
Yes.
thinking that
Yeah.
it grew up in the land, in the sea, just like
Yeah.
Finds it. She just loves it. Yeah, there used
Indy
to be
loves to
seed
eat
and
it.
birdseed.
Indy does.
Yeah,
I know,
that was one of
catnip.
its like most
Catnip,
useful
catnip,
things.
and he also
Birds
likes
fucking
the-
loved.
But you
Hemp
know what I
seed.
have to do with
Oh,
this
Louis likes the
crazy
little
parrot?
buds.
It gets in his fur.
Louis likes
A
the
good
buds.
friend of ours gave me some organic, hydroponically grown twigs. Now, Steve
Twigs?
Young, hi Steve.
Oh,
His birthday was
Steve.
yesterday. Listened to
Happy
your messages.
belated.
Saying you happy birthday yesterday. But anyway, he brought me
Happy
this
birthday,
huge,
Steve.
lovely bag of sticks. And you know, that crazy parrot will not chew on them. I have to put the CBD oil on my finger, and when I'm petting her
Excuse me?
beak, like scrape it off inside. Oh no! Yeah, because if I don't, she does this crazy parrot whining and flapping and.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah! Oh yeah!
How often do you have to do that?
Every day. Yeah.
Well,
She
She's
has,
conditioned you. You've been trained.
yeah, and if I don't sing and tell her she's a pretty bird all the time, she pulls her feathers out.
That's how I feel if you don't sing to me and tell me I'm pretty.
parrots can have like mental problems, like mental disorders.
Well, just think she was hatched in 2000, so they live to be as old as humans.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
So-
dog years
my
is times
star.
7, parrot
This is
years
from a
is
parrot.
times 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They live exactly as long as we do.
Yeah.
So if you get one in your 60s, as many
Yeah.
60 and 70-year-olds do, there's a bird left. And someone has to take care of this thing.
Think about
It's
a
a bird.
turtle.
Well, and they're in the will, of course.
Well, this
The
is weird.
bird
but,
is in the will.
You know, when I think about it, I'm teaching it all these songs, and so it sounds just like me. So, like, even after I do have to hound it down, I'm still going to be saying, "Get your ass."
Like, we knew she was thinking of sad things.
Y'all thought
The real
was
Julie,
so
the Julie
sweet.
we didn't know.
No,
That's
you know, and
We also might go viral, like, long after we're all gone.
right,
Like,
right.
this could be like a study of the, symposium of the end of Prohibition.
Yeah.
Some historian would have their nose buried in.
Well,
In
it's
this.
important. I mean,
Yeah, this has a leg.
look.
It's a leg.
Oh, okay.
I mean, look at this group of people. We're all activists. We're all,
Yeah.
fighting so
Activists.
hard. Activists, patients.
in our
Does
way
everyone
about
here
it.
self-identify?
I
as an
I'm not a
activist?
marcher.
I
not a
have you ever knocked on someone's door? I've left things at people's doors.
Well, and
but-
I said-
I've been
Advocate.
arrested, several times, locking myself
I'm an
to things
advocate.
and
I would like to
throwing
be
paint
I'm
on
an
the
advocate.
dome and
Advocate.
stuff.
For
Activists
sure.
are like,
Sure.
yeah,
I'm an advocate for
You're
sure.
an
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I would say
Yeah.
that
yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
I'm on the
There's like a
psilocybin board
spectrum.
because I
There's a
believe
bad
it.
bill.
There's like a
then we
spectrum
all
of
come
political
alive.
niceties,
Advocate or an activist?
and
Yes.
activist is
I
on
was
one
just
end
gonna
and
say,
full-blown
he's-
politician is on the other side of the spectrum, and lobbyist is somewhere in the middle.
Oh yeah,
and-
they don't.
I'm one
Yeah,
of those
that's
too.
completely.
So who is the OG in the group? That would be this gentleman.
Before,
Yes.
since
Yes.
I was
And
put a
he
sparkle in my father's
Actually,
eye.
Gunny's an older guy.
Well,
OG
who's been
means old
growing
guy.
it?
Who smoked weed first?
Uh,
Who smoked weed first?
1973, March
first?
9th.
1973.
I don't know my
March
weed
9th,
weed
1973.
anniversary.
Okay, so you're younger than me, but I smoked
Boarding
smoked
school?
after you.
Oh, did you?
86.
86.
I don't know. I'm older than you.
No, he's
That is
you're
before I
58.
was
Okay.
born.
58.
You know,
Really?
hot scientists. We
87.
gotta work
I'm
on
not
your
saying
stuff
how
right
I
there.
was corrupted. It could make someone who has.
I'm
just
blaming Mama.
30.
Mama got me high.
You're only 30.
It's good for you.
Just 30.
Mama was a hippie. Daddy was a cowboy.
I hear a song coming on.
Yeah. Betty G, Bobby Joe.
That is his sister's name. That's his
it.
name. Yeah.
That's good.
Travis, don't you remember when I was gonna get you in that millennial? That millennial,
Falcon.
huh?
The Millennial Falcon? What the fuck is the Millennial
Remember I told you
Falcon?
that
I bet it's a
Bruce-
bicycle.
No,
I bet it's a scooter. I bet it's.
scooter.
I bet it's a sharing.
Remember when I told you Bruce was
transportation.
looking for people for the cannabis that were millennials to write an article on them, and you go, "Yeah, that's not me." That's what
Yeah.
you said. You go, "I'm not a millennial." You're like, "That's like Emily." I go, "Oh."
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not a
It's
It's like
millennial.
Savannah.
I'm not a millennial. I'm Gen X.
I was
like
Gen
Savannah.
X Files.
I know,
You watch
right?
X Files?
I love X-Files.
Nirvana Nevermind came out when I was a freshman in college. I'm the dead
Yeah.
freaking center of Gen X. So yeah, I'm not a millennial.
Jam, yeah,
I
all
didn't
of
grow
that.
up with a phone.
What are we?
Oh, I love him.
Baby boom.
Are we big?
Yeah, it's still considered baby boomers.
I'm 52.
Are you a baby?
Baby.
This,
I was space age. It has to be the space age.
The space age.
I was born in '63. They walked on the moon in '69.
Yeah, I was born in
Space age.
62.
Perfect.
Yeah, I like
born
that
in
too.
'69, and my parents were like,
they're kind of like
they go,
late
"Oh,
baby
yeah, they
boomers.
just walked on the
Yeah, we're way too late to be called baby boomers.
Right,
We're
but you're still-
in their statistics.
Yeah.
I'm an
We're way
educated
in their
deadhead.
statistics.
That's all I know.
But your parents are generally the greatest. They're the
Yeah.
greatest
Yes.
Greatest
The
generation.
greatest.
You know, when you speak to my parents and my
Greatest
uncles and aunts
generation.
that were involved in the wars and stuff, they would be the last people to call themselves the greatest generation. They would be the absolute last people to say that.
Yep. All my relatives from Auschwitz everywhere. Yep, they would never.
No, they would never call themselves that. And even the people that liberated all of those nasty places and things, they would just never put that name to themselves. My uncle was the one that shook the German officer's hand in the Eagle's Nest when they first sent what were those, the honor flights?
Yeah.
When they took them
Oh,
back
nice.
to places, and that was my uncle that actually did that. Was on the
Oh, nice.
newspapers worldwide, you know.
Honor flights are fucking awesome.
Good thing, and it's
My
really kind of
grandpa
Oh, it's just ringing.
got an honor flight.
Yeah.
So-
it was
so
my
I'm the
uncle
next.
that did that. My dad wasn't part of that. What call the Greatest Generation because he was in between the wars. You know, but yeah, it's very interesting the way that we look at that history and call that the Greatest Generation. You know, Greatest Generation is the one that stops wars.
Right.
You know, not participates them. That'll
Or
be
hides the
the
information, or
greatest generation to me, at
supports the
least.
hope during
I look
it,
at the
or-
kids that are coming up now that they don't want to fight for the things that they've been fighting for generations. You know, and
I want the
from the
generation
younger.
that put a flower in the muzzle of a gun. Like, that happened.
Yeah, it did.
Right.
That happened.
That's, you know, just a couple years older than Gunny. That age people, the people that
That's
were
how
the victims
Nixon
of the Vietnam
founded
War.
the EPA. Even Nixon was like, "Oh, the people are riling." It was like 5 million on Earth Day or something in DC. It was fucking nuts,
So when you live on Earth, don't you think every day should be Earth Day?
right? This is the only one.
I believe
one
that
day
wholeheartedly.
and they put on all these parties where people burn a whole bunch of petrochemicals to go to the parties to celebrate Earth Day, and you know, I mean, think about it.
I drive my Jeep to the party.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
really
We all.
surprised
I took an
that
Uber here.
Denver didn't have an Earth Day, but it's right after 420, so that kind of is our Earth Day.
We did have,
Cleaning up?
We did have a.
We're just cleaning up. It's for the Earth. We all got stoned, and now it's the Earth Day, so let's clean up from all from the
I
big.
love
Everybody's
that.
like,
We just had a wonderful Earth Day, and you know, it was a lot of music and food. Of course, anything you do in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, is music and food.
Music and food.
Oh, hell yeah.
Can I interrupt and say hi to some people here real
Yes, hi
quick?
to some people.
Thank you
Humans.
very much for joining Carlos and Brian Rainwater
Daniel.
and Alexandra
Alexandra.
Floyd is joined.
Love you.
Thank you, and
you.
Michael Miller from every Tuesday morning at about 10:30 ish. We go live with Michael Miller.
Yep, yep. Hi, Michael.
So
Hey,
Brian.
Brad, what's happening?
just sorry, I wanted to interject that.
We like
No, I
that.
love that you did. I
was-
because I saw them over there. I was
Yeah.
Say hi to Savannah. She's supposed to be watching.
Oh, hi,
Savannah.
Savannah.
Like crazy.
Why aren't
We,
you here, girl?
Yeah, Rosebud. Why aren't you here? Daughter.
Danielle and Oriana and Anyel, why aren't you here?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were
There's-
supposed to be here.
Sorry for falsely tagging those. And Carlos Del Piane joined from Peru. Also, Oriana and
All the people that were supposed to be here that aren't here, you know, Gunny and I walked all the way from the bus station on 19th Street to be here, so
Yeah.
what the heck?
Did
We
you
walked all the way from the bus
Negative.
station.
You know,
Thank you.
I took an Uber.
Yeah, thank you.
No, a Lyft. I took a Lyft.
Yeah, no, in the snow.
And I'm driving back.
I saved gas.
I'm driving
There
back.
you go.
My gas.
You saved your gas. It's still
My
gas.
gas, I know, but it was still gas. So I apologize.
We're all victims
but I'm
of
gonna go
gas.
back with Pamela, so then it will be 2 people in the car.
We're gonna stop at Lucky's Market,
Right.
by the way.
Oh, that's right.
you have products
new
in Lucky's
one.
Market.
We have
Yeah,
products in
brand
Lucky's
new.
Market.
How many
Grand
stores?
opening. We create 32 stores.
32
Two more
stores.
open in Florida, or in and around Orlando in October. So it'll be 34 stores. And we have more coming in Colorado.
Is that the one in like Boulder?
Their Lucky's corporate is in
Lucky's.
Niwot, but they just had a grand opening yesterday in Wheat Ridge, and today's the second day, so I go back.
Yeah, they've been hiring like crazy.
Yeah, it's
I've
awesome.
seen the
So
idea.
We're national. We were one of the first brands to go national in all the Lucky stores. So I've
that's
one of the
And that would be
biggest shelf space of any.
restorative botanicals, just
Yeah.
in case we did not
Yes.
mention the name.
Yeah.
Restorative
Nice.
Botanicals.
Restorative Botanicals. Organically grown certified hemp.
There you go.
I hope.
Do your pitch. Do your pitch.
Don't.
Well, I'll come back. I'll
Do
keep
it.
interjecting.
She only has like
do
13
it.
products or 18.
How-
19, 19
se-
products.
how many
19
seconds?
products
19
today.
products.
How many seconds does
Okay,
it
next
take?
time I'm on, we're doing our coffee segment, and since I have some here, I'll just keep talking about me
6.
and
Yeah, I can
restorative
hold that
botanicals and our organically grown certified hemp coffee.
And can you get these at Lucky's?
Lucky's will be picking it. They will
Do you
go
have
into
shelf
Lucky's
space?
4 to 6 weeks. They'll be in Lucky's.
Nice.
We're in process
I'm
of new
jealous.
roasting and everything
Yeah.
else.
Steve
Not
Hughes-
jealous.
Steve
I'm
Hughes is in right now.
envious.
We're in that.
CBD in my coffee. Tell me how this is so lovely.
Why do you want? Because you'll get the
Peruvian.
beautiful effects of your caffeine, and you'll be happy, alert, almost well adjusted, and then you'll have almost no jitters. You know, you'll still have the clear thought process. You'll still have the motivation, but no jitters.
Will I still have to pee all the time? I have to
That's
pee.
your own personal
that's-
physiological.
Every time I drink coffee, I tell you, it's
It's a
just
caffeine
like
thing.
the.
Okay.
It's a
I just
caffeine
pee
thing.
so often. That's
Good for you. true.
Would you like to smell it?
Well,
You
is
can
it
kind of-
Especially at high altitude, it's good for you if you, drink lots of fluids, and it's really, really good for you. Cleans your pores out, cleans your skins out, gets all the toxins out.
Oh no.
So
You can open it.
I know you. I met you first when I saw you on stage speaking to Amy Dawn Berlin Hilterbrand's VIP night.
Yeah.
Was
And
that the
you
one
were,
where I was
as
down in the
pot
pit?
Scientist, yes.
Yeah, that was a really good speech.
Yeah.
That is the YouTube video that I'm
That's the-
actually
that's-
proud of. And I had no plan
No THC.
for it. There's another video on my YouTube channel of me talking about decarboxylation.
0.03 or less.
It's horrible.
And we are.
And it's because I prepared.
We're
Oh, it's like nails on a chalkboard, sets my teeth on edge.
Wonderful.
But I watched it because it was instructive. It's good to see
It's
yourself
delicious coffee.
make those mistakes so you don't make them again.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
How many videos did you do? So
But I love this.
I've,
ask. So Carter is.
that smells like heaven.
Were you part of?
Yeah,
Like
Canopy.
you were part of Canopy,
Yeah.
and
They invested in the
and they
pot
invested
scientist.
in the pot scientist, and you put out.
So it's happy birthday, Julie, from Pamela.
Sorry.
No, y'all.
We're talking about. We're talking about the pot scientist right now.
I'm-
Smell the coffee.
okay, so stable this to my head and then
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful.
So,
That's your birthday.
how many videos have you
over
put on?
300.
300
So
videos,
it's
and
in
you
the
documented.
300s.
You documented a good part of this industry, say from I don't know when I first saw you, maybe 2016,
Yeah, I think it was
somewhere around there.
Is that the
around there.
So you've documented a lot of the things that, like things in your videos that you were talking about, like
Our endocannabinoid system. And
endocannabinoid system. That's
like questions
the,
that
like,
you had have since.
above the fold headline.
Right.
Like, come on, in us.
Yeah.
We're like the person when they said when they fucking said personal is political. I don't think this is what they meant, but really, you have to fight for yourself
You can see it.
in this space that we're in. Like you have to fight for your own.
I know where I'm
Well,
looking.
we're still fighting.
Of course we are.
You know.
Like it's not okay.
Well, and what's bad? There's something happened today. There was a huge raid in Thornton,
yeah, what was that?
and
Too many plants.
you know, and it
It tastes good. That's good.
not, you know, and it wasn't, you know, just, you know, the guy that grows, you know, just for his medicine or for his child or whatever, you know, it looked like it was, and you know, just like what they said, and but that's what makes it hard on us, you know,
100%.
when you break the laws and you push the limit and you get busted, then we're at the Capitol and they have all of this as evidence, you know, and it's not the same though. You know, you have people who are trying to grow for their families or themselves, and then you have this happen, you know, but we all get thrown in the same
Right,
pool.
whether it's legal marijuana, legal hemp, it is you know, we can push I believe you can, what you're saying is 100% correct. We can push our limits a little bit, but really it is, you know, if we want to make our industry become more legal, more available to everyone, more medically researched so people can get it and be healthy, we have to stop being the trollmakers.
And you brought up
As a protagonist, I'm saying stop doing it.
And as stewards of the industry, we
Right,
need to be
exactly.
we need
Yes.
to lead by example.
Excellent
we need
sentence.
we need to follow the law, and if we don't like the law, we need to change it.
What?
Right.
And we need to not mess
I'm
it up
biting my tongue.
for everybody else. You know,
Biting his tongue.
go ahead,
It's a
go.
wise man.
All right.
It's hard for.
Go, Bubba.
It's hard for
Go,
me.
Bubba.
The law. Do you have respect for the law?
Why is it hard for you?
Absolutely no respect for any law that uses the word marijuana, and especially not
that's
one
tough.
with it spelled with an H.
Right.
That's the first thing that I need to say. Pushing the limit, don't get me started, because the limits have been imposed on us when we voted for a constitutional amendment and it's not being honored by our government. That's not being activism, that's being a citizen. When a law is made that's illegal, you don't respect that law. I can't respect any of those laws. We have 9,400 substances in the Controlled Substances Act in the United States of America. There are 2 substances that don't go with either scientific or botanical name. Do you know what they are?
Marijuana for one, and
Marijuana extract for too.
Oh,
Right.
oh, okay.
Okay?
Yeah, marijuana.
So,
marijuana
you know,
extract.
I talk about language a lot, and a lot of people don't put a lot of credence in what I say, but the people that control the language control what happens in society. And as long as we are willing to sit on a camera and call this substance, this great, royal, majestic plant,
Profitable.
marijuana. No, marijuana. It ain't marijuana. Where's a marijuana? Show me a marijuana plant. They don't exist.
It's in your
It's
mind.
called cannabis.
It's in your
And
mind.
it doesn't matter if you use hemp cannabis
Right.
or THC cannabis. It's still
That's what I've always
cannabis.
said.
But aren't a lot of people confused because
The-
it's called medical marijuana?
Let them deal with their confusion by educating
We need to
themselves.
start
Now,
changing.
I-
Let's
Quit
start
running
changing.
me
Why
over
can't
and
we
quit telling me that
Harvard
it's
change
for
it?
children, because it's
No,
not
no,
for the
Harvard.
friggin'
Now,
children.
I do like to make the difference between a cannabis plant and a hemp plant as far as for our legal.
Cannabis and hemp.
Cannabis
Well,
and hemp are the same
what?
thing.
It's the same thing, but we have to have some.
Right.
I didn't mean to.
Industrial hemp and
Yes.
medical
Yeah.
or recreational marijuana. You
But there's your marijuana word. Wait, and
Why you gotta call it
cannabis.
marijuana?
Cannabis,
Colorado.
What would you call
sativa, L
Cannabis
is the
sativa?
name.
Actually,
Because I'm
California
old
is
and
the
I
name of
get
the
caught
plant.
on
You voted
that.
Cannabis
against
sativa
sativa?
L.
I've always
Yes, I
been right. Is
Because it
every
used marijuana.
No, because it was a shitty law. Because it gave the politicians the right to make all of the rules once we passed the law. And it was written shittily. It was a terrible thing. It's prohibition continued. It's not legalization. We have no real legalization when the politicians and the police are in charge of what we do. Plain and simple. You know, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to the industry, but get off of my medical cannabis. You know, I mean, you're making all of this money. Let's call it what it is. Let's change the damn laws. Cost a couple $1 million to take the word marijuana out of everything. If you want to have it in pop culture, dude, I got no problem with that. I say weed, I say marijuana every
I
once
say
in a while
pot.
too. You have businesses that have marijuana in their names. I don't want to see that changed. I want to see our laws changed. You were asking me about law. Okay? Law is made to protect the people. Calling the substance that I use that is a medicine, marijuana, doesn't protect me. It makes me vulnerable to a society that demonizes that word. And it's got to stop. That's what activism is. So, yes, I'm definitely an activist.
I believe you before you
yeah,
started,
yeah.
I was
brother.
saying, he's
But,
both,
like,
right? He's
that's-
both.
It's a bit more
all about
fundamental.
respect.
Yeah, well,
it's about respect.
it is about respect, and we'll
And
never
marriage
have any
is a
respect as long as we let the media, the people that own big companies, and the industry call it marijuana. I mean, you know, it's going to exist. And Richard Rose will be the first one to tell you, because him and I
Yeah.
argue about this all the time, okay? It's been normalized in society, and that's cool. But it's not cool to normalize aberrant behavior into law. And that's what's been
I
done.
agree with that wholeheartedly.
I've noticed this actually on the state by state basis that cannabis laws are. There are certain places that it's like a cannabis control board. Here in Colorado, it's the Marijuana Enforcement Division.
And then
And some places it's called the Liquor Control Board because they just
It's
don't
run by
change
the
the
law.
name.
They've
They
been really
just
successful in
It's
terms of
actually
activism
Michigan, right?
in the
It's a lot
making
of
of
states.
new
A lot of
laws
states.
to use the word marijuana once to define it as cannabis, and then continue in the lawmaking process as using the word cannabis the rest of the way through, the way it should be. But you need to define what that marijuana is, because it's out there. We just need to take it out of the common lawmaking and Senate, government, judicial, all of those particular places, you know? And when we do that and we make it truly legal as a plant, we need to free the nonviolent offenders that have been jailed for having that plant.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
That's what activism is
Snaps
all
here.
about.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. I mean,
And let them get jobs.
Yeah.
Not just free them, not inhibit progress to you know, having a life.
Well, like
we
this
encourage
hemp
people
bill.
to employ our military veterans. You know,
God, not
maybe
that
at
bill.
some
What hemp
point
bill?
we'll get to the point where we
The farm
understand
bill.
this society
It's attached
well
to the
enough
farm
to
bill.
help employ the people who were wrongly imprisoned with what happened to them. You know, maybe our society will reach that point at some time. We're definitely not there yet, because the 46% of the people that voted against legalizing cannabis, they still have a lot of power. And people don't take that into account a lot of the time. We think that we're completely free. Well, you're not.
We don't think we're.
This
The
is
system is
this-
very profitable.
I think this is a reasonable question we should ask the two candidates for Colorado governor
Right.
is when I signed or didn't sign Amendment 64, it was sold to me as to regulate it like alcohol.
Yeah, right.
Some say that it's not exactly the same. Any reasonable person could look and see it's different. What will you do as governor to make that closer together?
Right.
What will you do to make it closer
I think that's
to
a
how
great
we
question to
regulate
ask a candidate,
liquor?
but ask yourself
You can't
as a citizen.
make it closer. Because the main difference between cannabis and alcohol is not permissible to children, and medical cannabis
Should be.
right is. It is legal in a lot of places, definitely in Colorado, and they have access. So what I don't understand, how do we have a state where we have industrial hemp, we have medical, and we have recreational, all legal, and we have shit for an educational program for kids? You know,
Because we don't have one yet.
no, and the stuff
I'm working
that's
on.
being
That's
put out
one.
there is
That's one of the things that I want. That's one of the things that I would like to do.
bullshit.
That's
Is-
some of what I do in all of my training and working with all the doctors and everything else I'm with. We've got
But
it
on the
but this
MJ
goes-
side or just on the CBD side?
It doesn't matter. This is, for me, it's all encompassing.
Okay, good. Because I was just going to ask, is that also...
We're talking about the same plant.
Well,
I think
Well,
it should
I
only be
understand
regulated
that,
if
but-
you want to participate in the industry and sell it to other people. If you want to grow a plant for yourself and for your kids,
Yes.
I don't think
That's a
anybody should be
different story.
telling
Yep.
you what to do.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and I think that's where a lot of the people that are looked at as being outside of the industry norms and calling for illegalization and things like that we see that. Because, like I said, when Amendment 64 was passed and we gave up the right to make the laws and we said it was to be regulated like alcohol, next time you go buy a six-pack at the liquor store, ask the person for their med badge.
That's what
Right.
I
You know,
just...
that's it's a real
I just
easy
got,
way to
I just
illustrate.
got uninvited to our neighborhood association stuff because they're going to do a marijuana prohibition meeting, and I said, and they wanted to know if I would come, and I said,
My
yes,
neighbors
when
love
you
me.
have-
Travis is like,
and
I'm
I said, yes, when you have something for the opioid addiction and the alcoholics and the,
Oh, I
and
love
the
going to
cigarettes,
those
and then
things.
they never
Right,
talked to me
Toby?
again.
I'm a hero to my neighbors.
I'm like,
No.
My neighbors.
I know where you live, and you live on Wisteria Lane.
But you do. Okay, so
I
here's,
live in a
here's
semi.
the thing.
As far as living in
Listen
Denver,
up.
I live in a freaking cool neighborhood.
She
But-
does. It's a cute, cool
People
neighborhood, but it is
don't
kind of
get
like
to
Wisteria.
see what cannabis users look like. We don't have social consumption. You know what beer drinkers or different high-end alcohol or people who shop in certain, you know what
We
they look
all
like.
know what cannabis users look like.
No.
Look at the guy sitting next to you.
Look at me.
Because everybody
That's-
uses
but
cannabis,
if
and
you're-
whether or not
don't.
they're willing
But
to
they
admit
No,
it.
they don't.
Not everybody.
There are people in the
They
cannabis
can't.
industry that don't consume. There are people who can't because it
true.
interferes with the drugs that they're taking.
Or there's a wrong strain
come
for them.
come
That's
again.
all.
Come again. I have not heard of an adverse
Oh yeah.
yes,
oh,
there
yeah.
are.
effect
Oh, yeah.
All the
I have
time.
it happen.
If
All the
you-
time.
I've
in
had adverse
combination.
effects.
If you are
Yeah.
on high blood pressure medication,
A kidney medication, if radiation,
Yeah,
different
it's-
forms of
What if
radiation.
you're a cannabis patient? What if
if you're a cannabis patient, you have done your research and you know what is going to interact with your
Or hopefully you
condition,
do
or
it.
hopefully you
Yes.
have, or you've reached out to an organization that is going to give you reliable information. You know, who would you send somebody to if somebody came to you and they said, "I have this condition"?
which one?
You know, and it
Boulder,
depends on
only
depends
Boulder.
on you know what the condition is, but
Andy
you're
Holt.
going to send them to different
Would you?
places.
Right. I'll give you an
you're right,
example,
you're right.
Carter. Like before I have surgery, I have to go off of my full plant extract and my hemp, everything, because if I don't, the IV sedation in combination with cannabis, because they don't like each other, will cause me to have cluster seizures.
They don't
months.
like each other?
No, they don't
Not for
work
her.
well together
Not
at
for
all.
her.
So
Everybody's different.
IV sedation is something for me that I cannot, my body won't allow me.
See, Carter, and what you're representing is a common misconception where, and it's one of the things that has hurt the cannabis enthusiast or the cannabis advocate, because cannabis doesn't cure everything.
Of course
You know,
not.
but
Of course.
a lot of us, and myself included, touted a lot of things as this industry was in its infancy. In 2002, 2003, there wasn't any of this research that is now available. You know, so we were doing the best that we could.
Yeah.
You
It
know,
needs to be part of a wellness
in 2004,
program.
when
Right.
we,
It can't,
Exactly.
it's not
It's
the
like a
magic bullet.
vitamin.
It's not.
It's like any other thing that we ingest, whether it's topical, sublingual, whatever. We check out the vitamin E's in the store. We check out the shampoos. What are the ingredients? How do you use it? How is this made? Who made it? How is it stored? How is it shipped? We should be doing the same thing
And
with
for
our
both
cannabis.
THC and
Even conscious.
CBD,
Yeah, exactly.
for
Right.
both of them, I think you'd be better taking 10 milligrams every day than 1,000 milligrams once a month. I think you
agree with that.
I think it's more
I would
like a
be a
vitamin.
mess if I took 10.
what do you say
No.
about somebody
That's a
like me
lot.
who's been on
Once.
over 1,000
Everybody is
milligrams?
different.
If you need it.
Then it's
Everybody
consistent.
is different.
Yeah, 10 milligrams or 1,000, whatever's every day.
Yeah,
Just
that's
whatever is
nothing.
every day.
But a
I've
thousand
been
and
told,
once
I've
a
been
month,
told by the
1,000.
doctors that I'll have
At, like,
THC
at a
in my
time,
system
like
in
just
my
And I'll see
bones
you
5 years
29
after
days
I'm
later when
dead.
you wake up.
You know?
Right, that's
But we
exactly,
digress.
that's exactly it.
That's me. I
For
go,
an hour.
When you want to give out
Supposed to be like,
tickets to
Jenny
somebody
must
for
have
5
taken that.
nanograms,
She's on
for $5.
Well,
You know?
300 was the highest I took it once, and it
How are you
maxed me
driving?
out for 24
I
hours.
don't. I have a,
My
I have a
husband was
chauffeur.
worried. He thought I was.
I can't afford to
ill.
His
risk my
name's
life.
Gunny. He's sitting right next to him.
Hey, wait.
Hey, hello.
You're the driver?
Yeah, he's the driver. You're
I'm the
official
driver. I just got to
Drive on
remember
the
to
wrong
stay
side
to the
of the
right.
road.
Yeah.
I just got to remember to stay to the right. I have a little sticker that says "Stay to the right, keep right."
Oh my goodness, yeah, because he just got off the plane from Australia yesterday.
And he's turning around in 2 days.
Everything freaks out
3
because
days.
I'm like, "Hey, oh, never mind."
It's all good.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're
'cause
right. Go down the wrong
Everybody
road.
here is wrong. Everybody else on the roads are
That's
wrong.
right.
it's only those
No, that's
islands.
That's
Those
it.
island people.
No,
Those islands.
actually, we're correct because
Britain,
cars were invented in America.
Japan,
and traffic was
Australia,
invented in America. That's
islands.
not a British thing.
They're
All
island
right.
You are wrong again?
Oh my
Oh, how's
God!
that feel?
I don't know. Well, the Aussies are wrong then because they've been telling me everything wrong. They think, "Oh no,
Well,
you're
they
wrong."
are. They might be the well, I was going to say chosen one, but you know.
Yeah,
Whatever.
that's right.
So going back to what you were
Australian
talking
culture's
about.
Weird. I'm still trying to get the hang of it.
What?
It's
So going
almost
back-
like marriage.
Sorry. So going back to what we were talking about regarding surgeries and cannabis, hemp / marijuana. So we just talked to my girlfriend on Sunday, and she just had breast cancer, and she can't have any feminized plants,
Because of estrogen.
right? Because she's on an estrogen. She's on a pill that's taking all the estrogen out of her body. So
On purpose. She needs
On
to be this
purpose,
way.
yeah.
Or her cannabis will regrow.
yeah, well, her
cancer.
her
Her
cancer.
cancer.
Yeah, and then she's gonna have a cannabis plant growing
Yeah.
there. But see, this is something a lot of
We
Us,
need to use a research
we
that's
don't
done around
know.
the world and
Yeah.
activate it
Oh,
here
sorry.
in the U.S.
Hi, hi, camera. I
Yeah.
apologize.
We're live.
We're talking to each
Remember,
other.
At
I
first,
can
I
look
thought
over
my
here.
hair was messed up, and she's looking at my hair, and then I realized
my
that she was
hair.
looking at that
It's
camera.
my hair.
Look at that.
But no, so I think this
blue.
is really important for all of us to know because unfortunately for us, we're not on, well, maybe fortunately, we're not on the Western med side, so we don't know the Western med side of what's going to possibly help the cancer to regrow and breast cancer. And so we aren't doctors, we aren't nurses. That's why we have Heather and Marcy Mar and all those people, right, to contact, because we should not be giving out that type of information. And we all know this as activists or as,
We don't all know this.
well, we don't all
We
know
were
it.
just
That's the
talking
problem.
about the fact that we don't all know this. Some people will spur.
Right.
Will,
But if you don't
But
know it,
whatever.
don't
No.
talk about it.
you're saying
Yeah,
the
that's
people
what I'm
in this
saying, though.
room.
We
That's
yeah.
what
Cancel or
we
don't-
We know that we should
Can't-
not be talking about this and
send people to,
send them to the specialists.
specialists to
Yeah.
educational sites where they can learn, get educated.
Well,
Absolutely.
if there's one fact everyone knows, it's all marijuana cures all cancer. That's definitely
but
true.
that's-
But that's how some people act.
Right.
You know,
Oh.
there's a lot of questions that people
That's
have, and some of them are going to seem silly to people. You know, there's the lady who thought you were going to get high wearing a hemp T-shirt.
But there's never a dumb
but there's-
question if
there's
you're
not.
open
Exactly.
to asking
There's
it.
not
If
at
you're
all.
open to
As
asking it, there's
long as
never a
you're
dumb
willing
question.
to learn, as long as you're willing to take it to that next step, gather information, and please use some critical thought.
It's, I think the only dumb question is not a question.
Yeah.
Just not asking. It's kind of
Right.
dumb.
Or that's
It's a little dumb
one asked
to not ask.
100
Okay, I know
times.
of a really dumb question. So there was a woman in Wisconsin, and she went to the like the forest division, and she said, "Why are you putting the deer crossing signs in the middle of the highway where deers will then read it and cross and get hit. When you should be putting them at the schools or where there's already, lights that they can cross at. And she called the radio stations and she went on saying, why are you putting these
That's awesome.
Highway Patrol Division, why are you putting these signs on the highway where
funny.
the deers read it and they cross?
where
That
I
was
walk-
I bet we could train them.
That's a
I bet
good one.
we could train deer
That's
if
a
we
good
put our
one.
When I
minds
was
to
really
it.
little, I thought the deer signs on the highway meant that's where they were going to go across. And I would like look out the window.
That's what
I'd
I
be
thought,
so
too.
excited, and they weren't there. And
think
not until
Oh, no,
training-
they are there sometimes. I've had a
I
couple
thought
cars
Zing was a
taken out
word
by
until I
deer.
was about
They are-
38.
I had that.
XIN.
I wish
Yeah.
the kangaroos would jump
Yeah,
where the
Pepsi.
kangaroo signs are at.
Yeah.
I see
You can
kangaroo
talk about
signs,
that.
and I don't know. I've destroyed 4 cars in the last 2 fire seasons. So.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Are they
wow.
yours or are they are?
No, they're mine. So
Oh, that's the bummer.
Yeah, I know. If it was a government vehicle, it'd be great. Sorry, back up that. But
Sorry, he didn't mean that.
No, I didn't
he did not mean that.
Yeah, but it's my own.
Don't
my
post
own
this in
personal
Australia.
vehicle driving to work early at.
Oh no!
6 o'clock
What
in
if the
morning.
Australians find out?
Yeah. Oh my God.
His vehicle, he would be in trouble.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
He'll
He
be
lives in
sent
Australia
sorting in
and
the
works there.
Aboriginal tribal lands with no canteen.
Yes.
That's it,
He'd be
yeah.
out there.
Been
He'd be
there,
going,
done
where's
that.
that kangaroo? And whatever they got in the
Yeah.
box.
Yes.
Usually a Joey.
It's
little
funny
Joey,
that you're talking about
when they're
those
keeping
crossing
fun,
signs
Joey.
and that lady though,
Yeah.
because that's quite funny.
Yeah.
I walk my dogs every night at a place that's a school that's attached to an old folks home. And there's the no trespassing sign in between the two. And the dogs
that's
go in between.
hilarious.
One of the
Yeah.
That's
people
funny.
comes out and I was like, the dogs can't read.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm over here. I didn't come over there.
That's funny.
Or they can read, but the
Smartass.
signs aren't
Yeah.
ADA compatible.
I,
There you go.
I,
Like
I
they-
did have a.
Yeah,
I
right.
did have a.
They're
stupid-
colorblind.
I did
you
have
want
a
the dogs
stupid
to
dog
stay off your lawn.
about
See, there
this
you
and
go.
the thought of dogs. I was walking around Sloan's Lake in Denver, and I heard someone like give a command to the dog in Spanish, and my first thought was, that dog doesn't speak Spanish. That dog speaks
If he
English.
speaks American,
That
I
dog
speak
speaks American, and then I
speak
thought
Spanish
about
and
it.
English to all my kids, to my 2 children, and all my pets. I speak Spanish and English.
And then I thought about it for a second.
They
That
have
dog-
language of whatever.
Yep.
That dog does not speak.
They speak more than
The-
they
the
speak more
dogs-
than American.
It's all about
I don't like
They
it when
speak emotion.
I don't like it when
Canine
dogs
units
speak
speak
German
Yeah.
because
Yeah, well-
when dogs speak German,
Or Yiddish.
then usually they're sniffing your bags or
yeah.
or sniffing your car. And then,
Yeah.
and anybody just like hearing somebody yell a German word like "Platz!" like
Yeah.
that just scares me right
There's
there.
some
But,
dialects
like,
that are just
most
like
narc
that as
dogs,
well.
I think, are if they don't speak English as their primary language, is probably German. Not hating on German shepherds or,
I just-
but you're kind of narcs.
I just got a chihuahua.
Yeah, so what you get from German Shepherd.
Well, that's not a generalization. A dog generalization.
I just got a chihuahua.
Yeah.
And I
Oh, that's going
assume-
downhill now.
Now we're like going down the
Chihuahua.
We're not generalizing
We're
there
done
either.
talking to this gentleman.
Right.
I just got a chihuahua. Let me show you. a
No, I
picture.
don't want to see a picture of a chihuahua. What? It's a chihuahua.
senor.
No quiero.
And I assumed it spoke
Yeah,
Spanish. And I was just wondering if that's racist. Is that
Chihuahua. They're,
if you assume you're Spanish,
If you
your
assume it-
chihuahua
Did you
speaks
get
Spanish?
it from a Spanish person?
did it cross the border?
Exactly. Exactly.
Take it to Did
Dogs
you take it to
like
Taco
children
Bell?
learn the words that we say in front of them.
Quiero.
Spanish.
Yo quiero. Quiero.
quiero.
Taco
No, no,
Bell.
no
She
te
gets
gusta
Cajun
chihuahua.
friends.
It may have gone to Taco Bell.
I know if your dog's a racist, you're kind of a racist.
Oh yeah.
No,
I
it's
believe
you
that.
too.
I
What's your
firmly
dog? What?
subscribe to the idea that if my dog doesn't like you, I don't
I'm
like
like that
you.
with
Dogs
Miss
and
Daisy.
children.
Yes.
Dogs
I'm like
and
that with
children.
Daisy.
And I have a Bernese Mountain Dog.
Oh, Louis had from Oh,
He's very
Those
cute.
are the
And Louis was
cutest
happy.
He's
Louis'
so
dad
cute.
is a Bernese
Does he like
dog.
He does not look
strangers?
like
Dogs I've found don't
I
like
thought he was
strangers.
My dogs love
At all.
everybody.
Well,
Like,
my
hardly.
dog does.
He
Dogs love everybody.
picks up
Unless they're
vibes.
bad. If they're bad, they
Like
know.
I had somebody come over the other day and he he made some noise at the door and then settled down and then she came in and she was friendly and like she's totally a dog person and he was awesome and there's other people who come in and they're kind of nervous and they pick up on that vibe.
So we have a 3-tier waterfall in front of the house, and my dogs will be out there with me a lot. And Louis is my service dog, but both dogs will be out there, and they just want to love on everybody. But once in a while, we'll get somebody that even drives down the street, and they're just like, "What?"
My dog eats rabbit poop, and I don't take his advice about people.
Does your dog eat CBD?
Yes.
Of course.
Mine absolutely does.
Mine do too.
Does anyone's dog not eat CBD.
My dog doesn't because it can't get it in Australia. So.
Okay, but you would.
Oh, well.
You're gonna. Well, you're covered,
Yep, right.
but you're gonna call Kath, and she's gonna hook y'all up.
All right.
Shout out to Flores
So-
Mercantile. You can buy their products on our website, by the way. They make a CBD tincture for dogs that I give to my dog. I also give my dog
And dog treats.
panaceas, pet gel caps. It's a regular part. He's a Welsh Corgi.
You do?
He's yeah. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
I haven't tried it.
Yeah, they're gel caps with like little. It's a great
fishies on
dose.
them.
It's a
Panacea,
great way
okay.
to yeah.
Yeah.
Have you
Panacea.
tried Restorative?
Yeah, 4 paws.
Or yep,
I've
or
used
4 paws.
Panaceas
Now the
or
four
I'm sorry,
paws.
restoratives. So
I want to see Panaceas though. I've never tried that one.
I gave Indy the 4 paws when you were on the show, Pamela, and I gave him too much.
She dosed this little rag doll.
It's a cat. Right.
Rag
Yeah.
doll.
But some people
Was
don't
that the
know
one
that.
Where'd you
that was
put
in
it?
the
How did
washing
you-
machine?
No,
no.
Picture.
No.
there are some people who think that you're going to get ahead in this industry by
Yeah,
competing
Michael Miller
with
put that
other
out there.
people,
I
and
know.
there are some people
Capitalists.
who understand that you're going to get ahead by
Support.
Is that how you
Co-opetition.
spell them? I want to.
cooperating with the right people. And I can say that, like, I don't give
Right.
our CBD products. My dog doesn't vape. Lotion. He's, like I said, he's a Welsh Corgi. But Restorative Botanicals and Panacea and Flores Mercantile.
And Flores.
Flores.
Which you can buy on Veedverks.com. But
Just saying.
my dog stays on CBD because he is pushing 11 now,
11.
and
Wow.
What kind of
he's
dog?
Welsh Corgi.
Welsh Corgi.
Yeah.
Okay.
Adore.
He had a digestive thing just about CBD and pets. He had a digestive problem. The vet gave him antibiotics, right? And it turned out they put him on a fluoroquinolone. They put him on ciprofloxacin,
Yeah.
and
No.
it wrecked him.
His gut.
And CBD brought him back
His
with those
probably his
products that I'm
tendons and
talking
stuff,
about. But we
Yeah,
we
it's
give him CBD religiously because dogs don't lie. Dogs don't have a placebo effect. Like I said, he eats rabbit poop, right?
It's because it makes him feel
He'll
good.
eat anything, including CBD products. He likes CBD, but he'll eat. It could be way worse than they actually are, and he would still eat the hell out of it.
Yeah.
But the end result that you see in him is that he can not walking up the stairs so much as walking down the stairs. He used to just stop coming down the stairs because
Downstairs is much harder.
yeah,
Definitely.
Definitely.
Like,
especially the way they're built.
Downhill's 100%.
But CBD is an extremely powerful anti-inflammatory, and a lot of what ails us and our aging dogs is inflammation related. And so
Well-
you can, with any number of CBD products,
Cannabidiol is amazing. For
it's really amazing.
And anxiety. Holy
Yeah.
cow. I have to. So my.
CBD or THC? Because I've
No.
heard it can make it worse.
CBD. No,
THC.
I understand that THC is
THC.
not good for dogs. But
Well,
I
for-
have.
I disagree.
I have 110 pound. I don't know. He doesn't need it. He
Our,
has
It's
anxiety.
gonna take us
our
years to
vets
work
are
that
all in line with this. They say cannabidiol is great. THC is not for.
I'm not buying it. Frankly,
I don't
I'm not
buy
buying
that.
it.
Well,
I'm
it's
not buying it yet.
It's still.
I'm
We're
not-
still learning. We're still learning.
Right.
It's just tougher on their digestive systems, and a lot of dogs just can't matriculate it, and so the THC part of it gets left out of a lot of the medicines. But as we study all of this, and the scientists get involved, and we study it in the universities, what's going to
This
be
year?
found out is that the whole plant is the most effective way to deal with the endocannabinoid system, because your endocannabinoid system takes what it needs and gets rid of the rest. And that's the way it was designed by, whether you believe in God or some omnipotent being or whatever, that's the way the human being is designed. That's the way the mammal is designed. That's why we have 2 different endocannabinoid systems, EC1 and EC2, because they do all the work for you if you provide them with the right foods. And we demonstrated that by when we took all of these foods out of our systems back in the 1930s when it became illegal. That's when cancer was spawned. Nobody knew what cancer was before the 1930s.
I don't think that's true.
I disagree with that.
If they didn't know,
still-
it's because we didn't have
I've
medical
read
advances.
that.
At the same time,
We didn't all know it personally. We hadn't each all
No.
lost somebody that we love to cancer, and I would venture
not
to
as
say
Everything wasn't
It
identified
wasn't
as
like
cancer
that.
back
Right.
then.
Yeah, it probably
There was
wasn't
actual
identified.
cancer cells and things like that, and a guy named Royal Raymond Rife cured cancer back then. So if you want to talk about curing cancer and things like that, look up Royal Raymond Rife and the Rife microscope, and you can
Lord.
talk about curing cancer at the very beginning of the cancer movement. You know, he was discredited and turned into an alcoholic and the whole thing, but he was a brilliant mind that built a microscope that's at the Smithsonian Institution that we in the year 2018 still have not been able to replicate. So definitely we have got some things, and it definitely, the food is part of it. When we started having,
Irradiating our food and
Oh yeah.
we started doing a whole lot of
Yeah,
lean
the
practices for so that the people that were the powers that be could control, you know.
I don't think all GMOs are bad. Some are.
Some are definitely.
It all depends what
ones
the
are-
genetic modification
Yeah.
is.
I wish
and
I
what
could have
the
made this
purpose
sound
of it
effect like
is.
if I had like the record scratch.
What is Josh doing in the background? Doesn't he have the keyboard over there to make sound effects and stuff?
No, someday.
Josh,
Aren't you the sound effects guy for us? I
No,
mean,
he's working. He's doing something.
He's
that
actually
I'm
working
our
for
sound effects
you.
guy.
He's actually-
Don't.
I'd like to say hi to Corey Boudneau, by the way.
Oh,
One
hi,
of our
Corey.
race car drivers, rocking the sticker.
Hey.
super cool.
Yeah.
So what got you interested into NASCAR? I was never into NASCAR, really until Veedverks. I had nothing to do with it.
In my previous job, I did a couple of sponsorship projects for NASCAR, and so I knew about the economics of it. And then when I saw an opportunity come up to sponsor a NASCAR car, it was a really good deal, which you wouldn't know, right? But trust me, it's a good deal. And yeah, that was it. It was a good deal. And if you look at,
You knew a guy. It was a good deal.
Just
That's
no
how
matter what
ever-
you were trying to advertise, that was a good deal. No
Yeah.
matter
let's
what
say
you're
this: you
advertising.
love going fast. You like getting your feet off the ground. You like all this kind of stuff. So
Well, also though,
You like driving
the main, like the marketing case that I made for it to my partners who I answer to, is that we were all talking to people who are on our side. I want to talk to
We're
people
preaching to the
who
choir.
aren't on our side, and you can overlay where, say, NASCAR tracks are in the United States with where the prohibitionist states are, and
Fits pretty well.
it's
Yes,
a
it
pretty
sure
good
does.
fit, and it's a
strategic choice and a good deal.
Yeah.
No, not
And
just
for-
that. They put people in the seats. You get your name on that NASCAR, and people see it. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Bottom line, whether
Yeah.
you like it or not,
Super
people
fans.
see it.
Holy cow.
Yep.
We've got a bunch of them.
yeah.
We've got a.
I mean, the best
We've
thing
sent
that
out
happened.
1,000, I think, hero cards to people for free that just they'll take them to the driver and get them signed. And also, by the way, cannabis is one of the only things that people on the left and the right can pretty much agree on, and the remainder of the people who we have to convert are still skew conservative, they skew older, they skew NASCAR demographic. And we believe after we launched our first products in January of 2017, just 17.
Was it
We started
17?
we
guys
started
tell me
4/20/15. So 2017
Is it
is
2017?
yeah.
Was that? Okay.
and
Or
what we
16.
know about just regular ass Americans right now is that most people just want to not hurt, and they want their anxiety to go away, and they want to be able to go to sleep. They want to be
live
able
a
to put
healthier, happier life.
their kid to
The
bed
best
and then
version of
take a
whatever
hot
that
shower
means to
and
them.
lay in bed
Right.
and
Or
just
one
go to
opportunity.
sleep. And to go to sleep, you have to be you can't. What keeps me up is anxiety.
Anxiety,
Yeah,
stress.
anxiety.
And the
What do you
other
have
thing that keeps
anxiety
me up is
about?
I have undiagnosed anxiety. There's 10,000 reasons.
Money?
You don't even have to know why.
Yeah,
you have
absolutely.
Usually money.
You
yeah.
don't have to know
That-
why you have anxiety.
Yeah.
My daughter and I have undiagnosed
Oh, but
anxiety.
people have something that
We
their
have no
mind
idea why.
goes to.
I will.
Or is it more of a body
I
thing?
sometimes lay there and cannot tell you what is going on or what's happening, and everything is happy and safe around me. Both my kids are home. Everything is great, and I've got my
panic
service dog.
attack.
Right, and my service dog
Right.
lays down on my back like he's trained to do, and I can't move. and it's just gone, and there's no reason, no rhyme or reason.
Huh.
So, and our products work for it. Your vape works for it.
Our lotion works for it.
Yep.
And that's what we want to do is with our next endeavor with NASCAR, which will soon, if the timing and the money all work out, we're going back at it again, soon. But we want to put, we want to be the company that displaces Ben Gay with a CBD base.
Yes.
I want to take their shelf space.
I might be, I might be all in on this.
Salon Pa. I want your shelf space.
Yep, I want their shelf space.
So that's where we're going with that, and
And people
I
think
want
you
to put
need
it
to
in
have
Walmart
THC in that.
and NASCAR and
right next
to
Walmart is a
alleviate
good.
muscle pain, and you don't.
But that's part of the education factor.
Yeah.
That is part of the education. The neuropathy societies that recommend our balm. The green one of what's the green one called?
Orange one.
The hybrid, that makes me feel so good. It takes away my aches and pains. It is absolutely amazing the difference of different products and how they're created, the different terpenes that are in them, etc. And these do not have THC in them.
Right.
And,
Well, and
but see, the whole thing is when you create a nice lotion and you put the CBD in it, you created a nice lotion. The base is what you use for your products, as well as the CBD
100%.
or the THC.
That is why we
So-
methodically create our products. Why we work with chemists and naturopaths to create our products.
So speaking
why
as
we
one
work
of the
together.
old guard that's been making tinctures and things like this for 20 plus years, we didn't know about CBD 20 years ago. That's why we didn't use it, because we didn't know about it.
Right.
I was in one of the
Some
first
of them-
breeding projects that actually bred medical cannabis with CBD in it. I participated in that with the CBD crew and Dr. Shackelford and all of those guys, And before these things actually happened, we didn't know about them, so we're
Some of
learning
the
about
things are already
them.
happening. We
You're
just
watching
didn't-
this learn in
We didn't
real
even
life
know
right
that what the different cannabinoid structures were or what was available to us, but we were still getting the results from them.
Absolutely,
Yes.
we
But
were.
what's
We just
so
didn't have a label.
interesting?
right.
So
we knew that they
interesting-
were doing
Exactly.
something.
Exactly.
So Bubba, what's interesting about this? So Dr. Shackelford, though,
Bubba.
or Bubba. So Bubba, Dr. Shackelford's out of Israel, right? And the
Actually,
Israelis.
he's out of Denver.
No, I know he's here, but he's also. Are we talking about the same one?
Yeah, but he didn't go to Israel until after all this stuff started. He's a Denver.
Yeah, he's a Denver base.
He told me okay.
No, Dr. Meshulam, Raphael Meshulam is the
Is
one.
our-
that's-
Yes.
He's the OG.
Yeah. So anyway,
THC
so Dr.
isolated.
Shackelford, he said he's running some. Isn't he running some sort of trials over in Israel?
Yes, I think they're doing all kinds of stuff.
He's
Israel is
Yeah,
light
so-
years ahead
No,
of
he's
us on
part
the
of some
medical.
things. I don't
Right.
think he's in charge of them.
Absolutely.
I
No,
think he's-
Dr.
And the
Shackelford is
recreational, you
involved
can
in a
just
lot
smoke
of
a
these
joint.
He's involved in a lot of
He's
these,
a
yeah.
doctor that actually saw the medical
Right.
application of this early. I mean, I started old
That's where I got
school
my
and new
med
school
card from.
wellness in 2002 and 2004.
Yeah.
So we've been doing this for a long time. It's just now that the way things have evolved, now we're starting to get the access to a laboratory, being able to
Right.
have professionals do this. So, when you talk about how activism and advocacy and things change, my role has changed a lot, because when I made what we were talking about earlier, amber oil, and gave it to cancer patients, when I first started doing this in 2000, we didn't know that cannabis could kill cancer cells. We were basically, it was kind of like dying with dignity. It was a way that we would look at
Right.
it.
We
So
gave
the
it to
person-
people
It's an
when,
end of life.
when we were that young. We were making this and giving it to our family members that had a debilitating dementia and
And what it
Alzheimer's.
was doing for them, but
Give
what it
them
was doing
respect.
for the cancer
Yeah.
patients was it was taking the pain away for long enough, or giving them an appetite so they could have a meal or get some sleep so that they could get their affairs in order and actually have a conversation with their family members about what's going to happen to
Right,
them.
right.
Because there are so many people in so great a pain, and nobody really knows about the chemo, the radiation, what it's going to do. My philosophy about chemo and radiation is if you survive through that, then you might survive through whatever they're trying to treat, but most likely you won't die from cancer. You'll die from effects of chemo or radiation treatment.
Yeah.
I'm very mixed on
So
that.
when I started, what are you
You're
doing
mixed on
about
that?
cancer?
Yeah.
It wasn't just about
I am
that
too.
cannabis
My
was
entire
an
family's are
alternative.
survivors, so
There's 250,
They went through chemo.
240 other treatments,
Richard did. He just had
different forms
chemo
of
for
chelation and
cancer.
things that have nothing to do with cannabis that are
There's a lot of
effective
people who
cancer
think that
treatments.
it has
Changing
to
the
be
pH of your body,
cannabis
changing your
or not.
diet,
Right.
No,
all of
right.
those things
And
that are
you-
effective for that.
And you have
What
to
of
you have to be able to mix
chemotherapy
Western
plus
medicine.
Right, exactly.
Well, and that's
be a great
those
thing.
Do
are
you
the
think
studies.
that's better than chemotherapy alone?
Those are the
I-
It
studies.
depends on.
Lump
You can't lump anything together. What are,
can't
there's
lump
different
cancer
kinds of
together.
cancers,
Well, that's
different
part-
types.
true.
Or the
It's amazing.
individual patient.
Right.
Every
Those are the
single
studies
person
that are
is
coming
different.
out right now about chemo and CBD together. And there's I
for
just
certain
Right, for certain ones.
or
Right.
for certain indications, but
Right.
Not across the board.
Right,
It's not
very-
a general.
that's
very
what I'm
limited.
trying to
And that's
say.
the thing. We can't generalize, especially
We
this is
can't.
people's or our pets' lives. You can't just say, "Oh my God, take both of these because it's going to cure you." That's
No,
why saying
no.
Google. You
So-
search on Google, of course, it's right.
So there was a study that just came out about pancreatic cancer, and people that did straight chemo, no chemo, or chemo with CBD, and they tend to live 56.9 days longer on the chemo
What type
and
of
CBD.
what kind of pancreatic cancer? What stage did they find it at?
Exactly.
How old were the people?
Exactly.
What was their
What kind of
heritage?
conditions were they
What was their
in?
heritage? What
Or
did
their
they eat at home?
nutrition, right.
Exactly. 100%. All those
But
other
I'm bringing
factors.
this up though because there are some studies that are happening. But what you're exactly what you're saying, there's so many different kinds of cancer.
And so many other factors.
And other factors. I mean, you can have, I don't know,
Well-
you could have thyroid cancer, but then you could have thyroid cancer with something else. You could have thyroid cancer with brain cancer.
Well, you
it
can
really
have
depends on what's
multiple
going on.
cancers living
Right.
within you,
Exactly.
because
And
you
one
can
can
have
spawn
different
another, or
cancers
exactly.
that are
unrelated.
Exactly.
that are like genetically different from each other because your
Well,
cancer
your mutations
mutated.
can be differently
That's
from anything.
it.
Exactly.
It is the
My breast cancer
mutations
is,
that
totally
make the
different
cancer
than-
in the first place. So
Exactly.
And then there's so many different
it's a
kinds of
difficult
breast
thing.
cancers.
And then Ashkenazi Jews, so where
Yeah.
everything is, that changes everything.
Well, so just from my experiences, I come from a generation of the cannabis healers that
You do?
we didn't have these things available to us, and we did a lot of empirical testing. You test your own medicine on yourself. If it gave you heartburn, you wouldn't give it to a patient, things like that.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is that we are evolving in a way that if we do this properly, people like me can step out of making the medicine. Because there's far better people now with better equipment, with regulations, with oversight to make these medicines for people. But what I need to do, as what you said, a steward of the industry, I'm a steward of the cannabis plant, and I always have been. That's the way that I've always treated it. So as a steward of the cannabis plant, I want to make sure that people understand that the cannabis plant is unique as a whole plant medicine, because all of those cannabinoids, terpenes, flavonoids,
yep.
all the different things mixed together. That's what makes it a plant, and your body is smart enough to figure out what parts of it you need. That was put into us by some higher being. It's not me. I recognized early in my life that I never called it medicine. I was always a stoner when I was a kid. I'm sorry, but that's just what we've always been referred to, But I realized that I preferred that to make myself calm than alcohol that a bunch of my friends were drinking at the Friday afternoon club and things like that. So, and it never was a gateway. It was a gateway to the refrigerator. Never a gateway to another drug or anything like that. The biggest gateway that anybody of my generation experienced was peer pressure. That's why you tried the other drugs, not because cannabis
I
pushed
semi
you to
disagree with
that.
that. We're the same age, similar. I'm a little 6 months older than you, but we are. It wasn't just peer pressure. It was being interested in learning, trying new things. I mean, the first time I took mushrooms,
I was
or
never
ate
interested in
psilocybin
heroin. I'm sorry.
I
was never interested in.
I was
cocaine.
interested in everything.
I've always known I have an addictive personality, and I would get
I've been
hooked on
interested in everything, to my good and my detriment, and it's made me who I am.
there are just certain things that never interest me.
Once I'm 90 years old, I will definitely do meth. I would never do meth if I were under 90.
I did meth. I would never do it again.
That's how I've tried a lot of different
I just
things,
gave
but
it
they
them.
weren't things that you know.
No. Oh, I stupid.
I'm saying in terms
I was
of
in
your
love with the wrong
habits and
person.
things like that, my peer group was
no
a
needles
lot
for
more
me.
the reason why I continued to use cannabis than just myself. Because my peer group identified with the same basic things. You know, it calmed us down, or, you know, we liked the way that we felt. The interactions were good. We sat down and had really involved conversations about really meaningful things, you know. So there were some reasons for that. Where the alcohol, you know, kids would punch each other and fight.
Oh, yeah.
You know, never anything good was said. There was always drama between boyfriend and girlfriend. I'm talking at like the high school level.
Right.
You know,
Yep.
you
We
know.
used to just, you know, go to concerts and dance or play in the woods.
So I'm just saying. So in terms of where we're evolving to, and you know, there's these companies, and you guys have products and things like that. Me as one of the guys that was doing this without the law and things behind me, man, I'm totally happy to see that you guys can do this. But what we can't forget about is the people and where we came from.
Yeah.
Because the plant itself is what the miracle is. It's not what we're doing with it and how we synthesize it into these different things. You know, people for thousands of years use that plant just like it was to maintain their health. And
It's the same thing as the San Pedro cactus, though. It's or other things around the world. It's not just the cannabinoids or the marijuana plant. It is.
well, yeah, it's definitely different than a lot of things around the world, because this is the one that's being touted as the industry. This is the new plant that's the industry.
I might be the only one in the room. I'll just say for myself.
Why is an industry
I don't
bad?
talk about the industry. I don't consider myself in an industry.
I say
I am
that.
a woman who's
I say I'm
pushing
in
forward my belief, and I'm able to do it through Restorative Botanicals that I'm get to manage my division of, and I'm a partner in.
You need to read some laws if you don't think you're part of an industry.
I
need
don't
to sit
count
down
it.
and actually read them.
I
You
read
can't
the
just
laws.
discount them because
I'm not
you're
discounting
different
them,
than
but
that.
I don't see myself as just part of the industry. I
Why
see myself
not?
as a female mom with 2 kids and all these other components.
Well, that's awesome that you see yourself as that way, and that's the way that you are. You're just part of the greater human community.
But it's
I think part of the mainstreaming of cannabis in general is that everybody views themselves. We can all agree. We advocate. We activate. You know, we support cannabis, right? But
Pro.
is that right? I mean, without a
pro.
doubt. But nobody wants to be known as only a cannabis consumer. There is so much more to a human personality.
There you
Right,
go.
I don't want to be
the-
known just as Savannah's
Right.
mom.
The people you
Or
love, the
financer
hobbies
of
you
Savannah.
have.
Are you listening,
know,
Savannah?
Well, nobody wants to be known as just.
No, just anything.
Just. If you use the word just, then.
Right. Just should be eliminated from the human vocabulary, I believe.
You could. I'm just the president.
The first time I ever came across marijuana, I was 14 years old, and a friend was using it for his grandpa who had Alzheimer's and dementia, and it was a medicine. And we were in
See,
Minneapolis,
and I was
and it was a
never
medicine.
exposed to it as a medicine until
It was
California
it helped
Prop
it- it helped-
215 was passed and stuff like that.
No,
It was
it helped their grandpa eat.
never a medicine. When I was in college
Yeah.
smoking pea bud, it was smoking pea bud. It wasn't a medicine, you know?
Yeah.
But when you came home from skiing and were really sore after jumping off of the rock cliff or whatever, 20 times that day, boy, it sure did help mellow you
We'd
out.
be on
the way
dead
to the
tour, and if
hot
I
tub.
smoked pot, I didn't get a migraine. If I didn't smoke pot on dead tour, I'd get a migraine.
Yeah, but I never called it a medicine. I was always looked at by society not as that was a medication. You're a stoner. You were always on the outside. You go over with the freaks. There were the freaks, the jocks, and you
I've
go
always
over
been in the
that-
middle.
I was always allowed to walk between all of those different communities. I was given the freedom to be, in the band or play sports or hang out with the freaks or whatever because, basically I was open to all of them and didn't look at one as being bad or good. It's just people are people,
Yeah.
I would like to be able to be looked at the same way today.
That's
a
how
lot
I
of
look at
people
you.
think
I know I met you in the space, but I don't look at you as being in the industry. Like you'll say to me,
I
"Oh,
lost
they're in
my
the
job
industry,"
in
and I'm
the
like, "I
industry.
don't
I got
care
fired.
what they are."
You're in the
industry.
movement. I would say that we're all in the movement.
We're in the movement, or we're
That's-
You know what?
not
What job
in the
did you
industry.
do?
We're in a revolution. We're in a
Oh, I like
revolution.
that. Nuvolution.
Yeah,
We're in the
Is
Nuvolution.
that
That's
Mr.
why
Nice
I
says?
have-
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
like saying in the industry. I always like saying I like Nuvolution.
Yeah.
I like that. I just like
it
being a
is
person
yours.
who can
Yeah.
speak the truth and stand up and say, hey, this was me that said the truth. I don't need to hide behind nicknames and stuff like that. A lot of people call me Bubba, but when I write, I put my real name down. I
I'm
don't
always
need to be
Pamela.
somebody
I'm always
else.
Pamela. You can call me PJ, but I'm always Pamela.
But I think it's really important that we all realize that we are. We're all individuals and we come from so many different backgrounds and so many different, conservative, liberal, this,
The
all
things
these
that happened to
different
me, the
labels.
things that happened to Jenny, the things that happened to you. What happened to our grandparents? What happened to our
Just things that, putting labels on all of those things, that's not who you are. Those are the things that define where you come from. That's your heritage. So that also gives you a reason to stand tall and be proud of who you are and where you come from. So I'm not going to say that where I come from was bad and that my belief in THC as a great thing is bad because we found that CBD is now a great thing as well. What I say is let's let the scientists do all their stuff and let people like me go back to getting it legalized in the rest of the world because we're not there yet.
But
and
it should never be an either or.
Right, and it's
it's
like
not-
me, you want it legalized as well.
I want it planted everywhere, regulated like tea.
I like the regulate like lettuce.
It's diverse.
Yeah.
Regulate it like
grows.
lettuce.
You see people
Or
with
tomatoes.
bamboo borders. How awesome it would be
Regulate
to
it like
have
Tomatoes over because that's what we used to call it when we were going to like
Lettuce.
nutrients and everything.
Regulate
No,
like
tomatoes
tomatoes.
would be like, I need this for my
so
tomatoes.
cool.
I need to get some this for my tomatoes.
So
I got to buy a ballast for my light for my tomatoes. So that one's kind of played. So let's just regulate like lettuce.
I'm just getting informed here.
I think that
I know, right?
the laws
So we
that
can
they
bring it
passed-
back.
I do too.
Yes,
I do too,
right?
completely.
We're just 20 years, the same cycle that we did with organics, that's where we are with the cannabinoid plant right now.
Yeah.
Last year there was that day where at the Capitol where I think it was 1220 and 1221, where we lost them both. And 1220 was all about how you shouldn't be able to grow 99 plants in your residence. They were going to reduce the plant count, and I think they ended up at like 14.
12.
But
It's
12. So what I wanted to get
So I
up there
wanna
and
go to
say
my
is
city
like
councilwoman's
that should
house and make sure
apply.
she's only got 12 roses.
That should apply to roses
exactly.
and tomatoes.
See?
Everything that those cops
Because all
said
of
Anything
the-
that has terpenes in it,
all of the reasoning
cannabinoids
that
and
they
terpenes.
used was
Hello.
about water
Unless
damage.
it's my yard.
regulate like house
And
plants.
smell.
No mold. They were
exactly.
talking about
Regulate
mold,
it like
actual
a
health
house plant.
concern.
Regulate
That
it
house
burns.
isn't
What?
meant to hold that many plants. And yes, you have to put ventilation, and you have to do. If you're going to have that many plants,
If I
think
own my
about how
house,
much
it
water.
can hold as many plants as I want it to hold.
Right,
It's
but
my house.
as long as it's your house forever and you're not planning on selling, because if you get mold, you're going to make everybody in your house sick, and you're like, that's a real concern.
It's a real concern. If I get mold, I made the people in my house sick. Why is it your concern?
When you go to sell the house.
Why is it your concern? Why
I'm
is
just
it
saying it should be
I'm
an
a realtor.
equal
That guy
concern
spoke for me like
for-
he was
it
talking
should
for
be
me. I've been a
equal.
realtor for 38 years.
It's not my concern, but I don't want you to get sick.
Yeah.
That's it. That's my
I
concern.
agree, and I
Make
suggest
laws
that
to
we
keep me healthy.
extend.
I'm sorry.
I just merely suggest that we extend that logic to tomatoes and cucumbers and lettuce and
Same
hibiscus.
thing with
and
regulate like alcohol.
If-
Where's
if
the?
the-
I don't
It's
do
common
the
sense.
same.
Is your child support paid?
wait.
You're a clerk at a liquor store. Is your child support paid? Because that's how we regulate marijuana in this town.
Right.
You know.
You
so
know what gets me though about liquor? I had to stop at a liquor store. I needed some limes, and I didn't feel
Some
like
what?
driving.
Some limes.
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 For the
Limes.
lime absolute vodka, which I
Subtitles
might
on.
So
now
I
and
go
then.
in there, and when you first walk in the door, there's families with little children, and they have juice boxes and what have you for children. Now, I would not see this same mother getting her mommy juice in a dispensary getting her stuff.
Oh no.
That wouldn't happen. But I am more concerned about that family and that mother and her
No
juice
shit.
than I am if she went across the street to the new dispensary. They just
And this is the law I want to
You know,
change. I don't
because-
want to. I agree with this. I don't think that they should be regulated the same as a rose, because a rose, although it is a great smelling perfume, and I happen to love them, it is not. It doesn't have the THC. It doesn't have the cannabinoids or things. I want this to be brought out to be a healthy environmental thing that we have access to and can use as we so choose, but not. It's to me, it's just different than a rose bush. In my
if I customize my house with my money to grow my medicine on my property, what
I
the
think-
hell business is it
No,
of yours?
I think,
That's all I want to
we're
know.
saying three different things. I think we're
yeah,
talking three different.
we are.
Yeah, we're talking about different things.
I agree with
think.
you on that.
I do too.
And what's the matter
Yeah.
with how many plants I grow? And if I destroy my own house and create
Yeah,
mold
I
in
think
my
we're
own
talking
house,
about different
I'm
things.
affecting my family.
Yeah, I think we're
No,
talking
that's
about
the law that
different
got passed. I can't grow more than 12 plants in my house because it's not good
Cannabis
for the
plants or
children.
plants total?
cannabis
Right.
plants.
So
It's
you could
only
have a
limited.
gigantic, say,
I could have ferns. I could
huge-
have all these things that make the humidity in my house a huge amount of humidity.
If we could just agree to regulate it like a house plant, and then worry
Now I
definitely
understand
about
what
the
you're
house
talking about.
plant.
I wasn't following. I
that's
wasn't following what you were talking about.
That's what was it called? 12.
That I
Part
could,
of the
yeah,
difficulty is
1220, and then
the owners don't
1221.
know
The
how
cops
to
One where I
engage.
actually had
They
to
don't
walk out because I
understand
was so pissed
what
off.
Might
the
have been.
rules are.
I really
I-
had to walk
They're
out of
off.
it.
What I've heard of this, of 1220, is what was brought to the table originally was so much worse. And we were able to push back
Oh, that's
a
just
little.
bullshit. What was brought to the table originally was Amendment 20. We have Amendment 20. It gives us the right to grow the amount of plants that our doctor tells us we can grow.
What was brought
Period.
to the
Everything after that
legislature.
is
Any
restricting.
jurisdiction the right to get in between you and your doctor.
Right.
You know, so then, okay, that's not going to be good enough. So we'll just start taking the doctors to court for giving the high plant count prescriptions away. We'll just take their medical licenses away.
Well, they do
Yeah.
that.
I'm diagnosed
DA
with a
was
fatal
fucking
disease.
there.
I should have a 99 plant count that should never go away.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
My 99 plant count has
Right.
been taken away because the doctor is afraid to give it to me because they will take away his license.
Right.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Yeah.
And my original prescription recommendation in this state came from a doctor that doesn't deal with medical cannabis at all. It's from my normal doctor.
Here's part of
You
the
know, so-
difficulty. People who don't live with debilitating diseases don't understand how much cannabis a patient may need. You know, somebody who does not consume in any way and they're still in the reefer madness, you know, mindset, you know, you hear the grandma with the eighth that got arrested, you know, and they're like, oh, she deserved that. That's horrible. She had drugs. But somebody who knows how it's used for medicine and how much it can help, people have no concept of how much is needed for these epilepsy patients, for people with cancer, people with PTSD.
And it is a shame that they have to grow it in their fucking house.
Well, we had co-ops
Like,
for
we
a
should-
while.
we- exactly.
And you can't do that. And
Right.
We had caregivers that were allowed to take care of. I had over 200 people that I took care of at one time.
And now you're limited severely.
I'm not a caregiver. I retired 2010 when they passed
I know
HB
caregivers that
1284,
they've
which
closed
was way
shop.
before this other one.
Well,
you know?
that's what founded the MMED, like, because there was
Yeah.
nothing, and then they
That's
passed
when they
that.
started to regulate
And
everything.
they
That's when
started-
the Wild
that
West
was-
ended. That's when we stopped being able to really help people. Yes, absolutely. We could actually
In a
help
way,
people.
I
You
feel
could
like-
give people medicine back then. You could give people medicine. I gave away probably $15 million
No,
worth
I
of
think you
cannabis
still
oil,
can
you know?
give away.
Oh,
I believe that is
yeah.
still
what's
legal.
going to be your resource for providing that medicine? How are you going to grow it, extract it,
Yeah.
turn it into a medicine,
No,
and
if
give it
it's
away?
yours.
Huh?
If it's I believe that is legal.
Now you're not allowed to give away your medical cannabis.
Who says?
If you are
The
have
law
if you
that
have
you
a
signed
medical
to get
card,
your red
not
card
if you are
says that it's your
growing
medicine,
without
your
a
medicine
card.
only, and that you will
Can't
not
give
give
it
it
away.
to anybody else or share it with anybody else. Use it in public. You know, there's only about 1 million things that you sign when you sign to take your red card. And
Right,
all
but
of them mean that your medicine is yours and only yours. That's why you
Oh,
have to register
medical
with the
side.
dispensary.
Now that's supposedly the same thing as your pharmaceutical drugs.
Absolutely.
That
yeah.
is,
Right.
and
Well, if you're going to put yourself under HIPAA under one area, you're under HIPAA under all areas.
Right.
If you're going to be
Right.
under
Yeah.
the medical thing. So, you know, 1284 was basically the one that regulated it all, put the HIPAA into place. Before that, no. You know, there were caregivers and there were ones that were way bigger than me. You know, there were people that actually had warehouses. I did mine all in real estate. I was a realtor. You know, so in the properties that I rented, you let me grow my weed in your basement. Or you didn't rent the property from me. You know,
Huh.
now you couldn't do that. I mean, there's no
You
way
did-
you could do those
Yeah.
kind of
You,
things.
you cut a discount, right? It's got to be cheaper than
I
like
gave it away, Carl.
no the rent.
Oh, the rent? No.
why?
That was
Because
rent.
I mean that's responsibility. That's
Rent
some
is rent.
No, they had to let me grow it there. They weren't responsible for my plants. They just had to let me do it.
right.
Well, let's not go down that path.
But let's not go
Carter.
Right.
We don't need to go down that path.
That's a path that we don't want to.
Yeah.
All
We
we're
don't
saying
need
is
to
that
go
the
down.
regulation of a number of plants that someone can grow is just
Yeah.
anti-intuitive towards being good at making medicine for yourself. I mean,
Right.
Well, and
you
the
know,
assumption is that you're a responsible adult that's going to do it the right
well,
way.
the assumption is
dumbass.
that everybody who grows more plants than someone thinks that they can assume is sending it out of state to someone for commerce. And that our government's not collecting the taxes on it, and they don't want caregivers being able to grow their own medicine because the industry that doesn't exist, okay, the industry that doesn't exist doesn't like me either. Because I can grow my own weed, I don't need to buy it from them. I can make my own lotion, I don't need to buy it from them. I can make a candy bar and infuse it. I don't need to buy it from them.
I can make my own bread,
The
but I still like
industry
to go buy
hates the
bread now
people.
and then.
The industry
Yeah,
hates the
exactly.
people that are outside
Yeah.
of it that can grow their own medicine and don't have to join the industry because they're not going to make a dollar off of you and they're not going to grow their business off of you. And that's the way it is, and that's the way business has always been. So if you can force people to have to get their medicine from
That
you,
is a
sounds like-
blanket incorrect statement.
Well,
We are a good business. We are a good business practices. We pay our employees well. We donate things. We do all kinds of things that are nice
Right.
and good.
and you follow the law, right?
And I
if the
follow the
law
law
is
as well.
shitty, you still have to follow that law because you're in business, right? Or you have to choose to go out of business or disobey the law.
well,
Correct?
she,
Or
I would
according to-
never disobey the law.
I think that's a
I
struggle.
will disobey unconstitutional laws for the rest of my friggin' life.
I think that is a struggle people face when the laws are changing.
Right.
You have the option of hold on to the old or adjust to the new. And if you want to move forward,
Sometimes you have to
and
make changes within.
You
and,
do.
And what's so funny is out of the two of us, I would be deemed the quiet one, which never happens in my life.
I know, isn't that funny?
Yes, I love it.
It's you know what it is? It's because I've been putting up with this bullshit for so long that now I'm just sick of it. I've seen so many of my friends have their lives ruined because of this non-existent industry.
Why do you say
know?
non-existent?
Well, because the people always say it's not an industry.
I think
says
it's an
that?
industry.
Says that
No,
it's
that is not
absolutely
what
an
was
industry.
said.
This evolving industry, can we call it evolving?
It's evolving.
I
Have
call
some
it-
restorative
How
botanicals.
about let's
Nation.
call it this thing of ours?
It's still kind of
This thing of
kind of
ours.
nation.
I just, I mean, I've been in it, I've been out of it, I've been part of it, I've been happy with it, I've been sad with it. People have liked me, people have hated me. It just depends.
It
Where you happen
definitely
to
gives
be
you
at
an
the time.
interesting perspective. I think in all things we can agree hindsight is a pretty neat tool.
Well,
And-
you said earlier OG. To me, OG means
I said
old
it,
guy.
sorry.
I'm an old guy. I've seen all of this stuff. And
It's
the
original
2020 hindsight.
gangster.
I've said it repeatedly on these kind of radio shows and things like that. If you wanted to make money, just do the opposite of what I've done for the last 20 years.
Right.
I've picked the wrong way every single time.
Have you
know?
wanted to amass wealth?
No, I don't think that's been ever a key to me.
That wasn't a goal of yours?
No, never.
I think
Congratulations.
People in Canada
But I've always
are
done
drawn
well with
to
money.
social
I want to make money.
enterprises
What's
as
wrong with that?
businesses.
Because they can
I don't
congratulate
have a
I-
problem.
No,
with
There's
trying to
nothing
no.
make
wrong
money.
with
Either
making
way.
money, but
In fact,
there's a
something's wrong
balance
with not
to
making
it.
money.
If it is a goal of
People have told me
yours,
that,
I hope you
you know,
succeed.
look
If
at
it's
all-
not a
look at
goal
all
of
the
his,
sacrifice
then
that
it's
you've
fine.
made, and you've
What-
lived a really hard life when you could have just
I-
taken the money.
I agree.
Wait.
I agree with Anne Marie because we've hung around with the same people, right? And a lot of us, do we need to make money? Absolutely.
You have to pay the bills. You
But guess
just do.
what? But guess what? We just want to help people.
I'm
Well,
going to
there's-
free the plant,
So that's
and the
cool,
rest
Jenny.
will
I want to
follow.
help
No,
people.
I know.
Why
I know
can't I
this.
make money
You
and
can
help
make-
people?
You absolutely can. And
But
there's nothing wrong.
we're saying that those of us that don't have these huge companies like
We're
you,
not a huge company. I work 85 hours a week.
I understand that, but guess what? You're in all the Lucky's markets. And you've done a lot
Because
to
I
do
work
that.
She worked
85 hours
pretty
a
hard
week.
to get
Right,
there.
because
And
you've
congratulations.
worked really hard to get that. But what I'm
Well-
saying, there's some of us that aren't at that level, but we're kind of more on the ground floor, which you are too. But you are too.
No, you're on the level of you made it into the Lucky's markets
Right.
and you still want to help people. There's
And
a
you
lot
still
of
wanna help
people.
people.
There's a lot of
You
people
still
that have
wanna help
established
people.
cannabis businesses
Right.
We're just
that
a
make a
little
lot
bit
of
more-
money. That's it. I make a
There are
lot of money. I
people
got
in
my
the
cannabis
Porsche
business. I don't
industry
give a
that
shit
make
about
shitload of money
Right.
that don't want to help people.
Everybody's
That's it.
at a
Right.
different point
Yeah.
in their journey.
Yeah,
They
so-
just are.
Thank you very much. That's what I was trying
No,
to
if you
say.
want to give me a
Well-
Porsche, I'll take it.
Well, what's
No, but there are people,
can't
like
drive
I
a
said, there are
Porsche.
people that
I
own
like
those
these
businesses
these
that
new
they
hemp
don't
cars.
like
Have you
me
seen them?
because I don't need them.
BMW.
No, there's a
motorcycle. I
guy
knew
in
more
Denver. There's a
Yeah,
guy
I'm
in
with you on
Denver
that.
who does a hemp car, and it's the coolest little sports car. It's really adorable.
No way.
Yeah.
Where? Do you know? Where?
I just learned about it like 2 days ago. I will find it
Trojan,
and
where
I'll
is
share.
this hemp car? Who's got the hemp car?
It was at the hemp. It was at the
I've
hemp
talked to that
expo at NOCO like
yeah.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
2 years
Is it
ago.
a BMW?
Was it
No,
No.
it's not a BMW. I would know that.
I'm
one.
gonna go to
It was
the
a
bathroom.
BMW or it was
No, it's not a BMW.
Volvo or something.
There was
not
a
a Volvo
BMW
either.
No, there's
hemp
some
car at
BMW, and it's
NOCO
like a
couple
new. It's
years ago.
its own brand.
I saw
It's
that.
not. It's not an
Are
anybody.
using hemp in their motorcycles? Are using
That
the-
way.
some
I
of
know,
the
but there
cars.
was one. Do you remember?
But it's not BMW. It's not Porsche. It's not Volvo. I would know them.
I like the little scooters too. Have you seen those? They're
I remember.
so cute. The little
You were
European
there,
ones that are being
Travis.
made out of hemp.
It was 2 years ago. And they were like, don't punch the car. And people were like punching the car. They're like, oh,
With
no, my
sledgehammers.
hands. I know. They were like trying to punch the car.
Well,
and they were like,
because the
said you
the
break your
hemp
hands.
they make the cars out of is stronger than steel. So you could take
Yeah.
a sledgehammer.
Right,
You
so
might
that's what
put
I'm
it
saying.
in, but you're not.
It's got
Okay,
Yeah.
so some of the buildings that are like going up in Dubai that are all hemp, everything
Yeah.
from the hemp. I mean, everything other than the glass itself is all hemp. It's incredible.
Really?
Speaking of hemp cars, one of our drivers.
hey guys.
No, Bryn Gone driving in the United Sprint Car Series. I hope I got that right. Up in Pennsylvania, he's driving wing sprint cars on dirt. If I were more prepared, I would have fired up a video from last Sunday. But these are dirt track cars with open wheels and the big wings on the top.
Oh,
Yeah.
And so he's trying to get
So cool.
all of the sheet metal on his car replaced with hemp plastic. And so,
Oh, that's
So cool.
so shout out to Bryn. Sorry
Yeah.
for that interruption.
No, that was a good segue. That was good.
I was thinking that when they were talking about that, I'm like, oh gosh,
Yeah,
I got to get
yeah.
a word in edgewise.
Yeah, we need to help Bryn. He's out there fighting for the plant too, being a voice in favor of ending
Excellent.
prohibition against something that we all know is very medicinal.
Well, the
And
first
also-
time I ever
And but wait a second, it's our industry encompasses 52,000 uses for the hemp plant.
Well, and
growing.
And growing.
That was in the 1930s.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
come on,
Yeah.
we've come up with a whole bunch of
It's
stuff
more
since
like
then.
300,000 or something now.
And that's it's crazy that we're like trying to sell people a pot of gold. Like, man, I don't want it. Like, no, it's really valuable.
Are you trying
Like,
to sell me?
yeah, I don't want. No,
You
no.
guys are
But
trying to sell me.
our
Okay.
our enemies, the prohibitionists, they're like, we want nothing to do with this cannabis plant at all. It has no benefits.
I think a lot of people who are very anti-cannabis are ready to embrace it once it affects them personally or professionally.
Everyone
Or they
is.
have
We're just
education.
Once they're in a position
Or
to
they
take the
have
money
access.
from the rest
Until
of it.
Jeff
All
Sessions gets
politics.
cancer.
Think about just the
Right.
health of our country. What, 1 in 5 people are supposed to have cancer by 2025?
If you don't
And
die
you-
from something else, you'll die
Right.
from cancer.
Oh, and
like-
all of the
It'll
pharmaceuticals
eventually.
people take and all of the side effects
Yeah.
that cannabis helps with side effects, if you're going to still take all the crap, you know,
Yeah.
there are things that it can do, that people that it can help, and just,
I disagree
Deep
with
breath.
you, though.
you don't think that there are people that could help?
Oh, there's a ton of people
Okay.
that can help. But I don't think that
Get
everybody's just going to fold
And so
over
I
like
was like-
that when they realize that it can help people, because just in my own particular case, I went to a doctor a couple days ago. Well, I was actually in June now, June 22nd to be specific, for it's called the Division Independent Medical Examination. And I was talking to him about Plant the Cure during the whole time, and I was like, well, you know obviously about cannabis and the opioid epidemic and everything like that, blah, blah. Agreed with me about everything that I had to say. Made the sales pitch, why don't you join Plant the Cure? Become a member. Absolutely no way, Bubba. Why not, sir? I sell opioids. Bottom line. So
Yep.
I mean, can agree with it. I don't know that everybody's just going to change their lives. It's kind of the same thing with starting a business. When everybody's behind you until you ask them for $1 to be behind you. Then it's a whole different choice, So
But it depends on what you're asking for, how you propose it, what was your history, etc.
Right.
I think I agree with you so much that when people have a need they'll open their minds. I also think when they have opportunity to learn about it, the more educated we are in any subject, whether it's red dye or CBD, you know, or what's the stuff you put in monosodium glutamate.
Yeah.
Like until we know or have something in front of us, and you know, or you make money from it, or you can get a business from it, or you can something, you know, and it might not be because it's a medicine. People might get behind hemp or cannabis because they simply don't know the difference, and they go, what, there's a BMW motorcycle, and I
Because
love
they're a
motorcycles.
publisher that needs to buy paper and knows that it's a
Anything.
much better
There's all
renewable
these
resource than a
thousands
tree
and
to make
thousands of
paper out of.
reasons, right?
Well, and there's more
It's an
people
annual.
who support
It's an annual plan.
the plan that are, you know, going to the Capitol, that are going on live feeds, you know, because they're afraid. And I remember being diagnosed with cancer in a southern parish and being, I have a decision to make. I have a decision to make not only about my health, but the consequences of decisions.
Right.
You know, and I was political there, you know, back and forth to DC, fighting for this, that, and the other. Was I going to lose the people in my circle? You know,
Well, and your
was
decision was
I
you
did when I got
took care of
divorced.
you.
When I got
But
divorced,
you
I
had to
lost
leave
everybody,
where
so
you
it
were.
doesn't matter what you do.
But you know, who gave me more crap? My family.
Yep.
The people who know I can't take drugs.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, it was really, really scary. And that's the thing is, you know, maybe they do, you know, and they're just waiting for more and more information. And, you know, the more that, you know, they take those little baby steps.
Well, there's not a whole lot of people like you, like Amy, like, you know, the Colton's parents. You know, there's not a lot of people that have the guts to, you know, leave everything that they have for the benefit of their children.
Bullshit.
You know?
I disagree with that altogether.
Bullshit.
I would
How many of them are there?
Bullshit.
There's
Me.
thousands
I'm
of
sitting
kids
right
all.
here.
Yeah, okay, so
Yeah.
you're one of those.
But
You're in a
there's-
very small.
Well, so is everyone
It is
here.
not
So
Oh,
here's,
it's way
This is-
small.
here's one of the hard
way
things,
small.
though.
It is.
People that are willing to give up
finance-
their life and be told that they're completely wrong by their entire family. There are not very many like you, like her, like the Turners. There are not
but-
very many.
Yes, there are. But
A
are
lot
we
of
talking
them
about
moved here.
cannabis right now, or are we
Right?
talking about just the fact that we'll make the changes for our children?
Whatever it takes to leave everything behind that you have in life for the benefit of your children. I don't care if it's for cannabis or any kind of medicine. That
Never had a
takes
second
guts.
thought.
In a heartbeat.
Takes
Never
it.
had a
takes-
second
it
thought.
takes
Not
second.
even
My
You're not the
sisters
norm.
never had a second thought.
You aren't the norm.
My sisters
I
never had a
disagree.
second
I
thought.
disagree with
Where
that.
are they? Why isn't cannabis full of all these people that you're saying
Because
are
not all
willing
of
to
Why
do
did all these
anything?
people move here? Why did they move here?
Well, I think we're
And
seeing
it's not just cannabis. It's
Well, it
if
is
my
one
baby
thing.
was
we're seeing
something I
more and more
No, they
people
freaking
here as a
moved to
first
Colorado.
resort and not a
AMR.
last.
This is
How many
one
AMR people are
subject.
freaking
A lot
here?
of people talk
This is
about
one
that they would do it, but you guys
100%.
actually took action. That's all I'm trying to say
Well,
is you're not part of a huge group of people because they would have done it. They
There's a
would have
lot
done
of
it.
people who
They
have come
have.
here and who have
And you
left
just don't know
they
about it.
couldn't
Or-
maintain. They
Yeah,
couldn't
I understand that.
Or
I've been a
they've
big
done it
part of
and they
sending
just-
people home
you don't
and taking
know
the
about it.
medicine where they are rather than breaking up their families and moving out here.
But the-
I'm a huge advocate of that.
I
But-
know several people I know many people who are just underneath the radar, but have done what it takes for their kids.
That's cool.
Not a second thought, but they're under the radar in their lives. So don't count them
How
out.
many people? How many AMR people are here now?
Well,
200 and something.
yeah. Well,
I mean-
yeah.
Couple 300 families.
But
How
you
many
know,
families
there
are in
was-
America?
I
100
know.
million families?
I know,
Yeah,
but
let me touch on this a little bit though, because there is a family that was very near and dear to my heart, and their baby. In fact, I got the phone call. I was working environmental toxicities after hurricanes at the time, and did I know
You're amazing.
about this little boy whose family was exposed in the 9th month of pregnancy to benzene right outside of Baton Rouge? No, I didn't know anything about it. This poor family was traumatized so much from St. Jude's, and I don't know if people realize this, but the St. Jude's where we're at, the majority was sent by South Louisiana and South Mississippi children. Because we're just the tollable. But it's so intimidating, and it's not a matter of will these families make the decision. That decision is horrible to make.
Oh yeah.
You know, what if it's wrong?
Oh, it's horrible.
You know, and when I
And
was
there's
going,
no turning back.
no, and when I was going through this with this family and this baby was passing, I had one family over here that I was trying to counsel and love, and they had done everything, you know, exactly the way the doctor said. They had done the chemotherapy, they had done the radiation. Their child was dying. Here we had this family over here. They did none of it. They took their baby and ran and lived in hiding. We know and helped, you know, them do their medicine, that sort of thing. They made that commitment. Their son died too.
Yeah.
So, you know, cancer doesn't play fair.
No, you can do all the
And,
right things
you know, you
and
can,
still lose
you know,
that game.
And the parent that's standing there, or the person that's standing there going, you have this diagnosis and this is going to be your quality of life.
Yeah.
You know, I realize I'm different. I've been told that my whole life, you know, because
That's
I'm
why
like,
I like you.
I know, right?
you know, tell me what I can't do, and I'm gonna do it dancing just
Twice,
to show you what I can. Twice in heels.
Right.
And-
Don't
I
let
put
your
heels on just to like
but
stand.
but I had to learn the hard way. Not everybody's got the same spit and vinegar I do. You know, and it's a hard decision, especially if you're making with a child and you trust this doctor. You know, and so you're like, I trust this doctor, I trust my parents, I trust my, you know, family, but here's this hope. You know, here's
Hope is
this
a
hope.
powerful tool.
Yeah,
It's a totally
and you know, when I was diagnosed with cancer, my dad was dying of cancer, and my two sisters were also diagnosed with cancer. There's a story behind there, but I chose completely different than what they did. But you know what? This is mine. I live in here.
Yeah.
And that's my
Yeah.
decision. You know, and I didn't ridicule them for that. You know,
Right.
I, you know, supported what they have to do, and that's what we have to do.
Yeah.
You know, if this person's cancer is a little bit of this, that, and the other, and CBD, great. If this person over here is a little bit of this, that, and the other, and THC, great.
Right.
You know, it's what your body needs, what you need.
Well, what I want more research to go into is delivery mechanisms,
Yeah.
because there are certain different cancers are in different places.
Yes.
A
Right.
breast versus a prostate, although I actually heard they have like similar numbers, breast cancer and prostate cancer.
Interesting.
But
I don't think you're talking right here.
I mean,
Go
about
on.
levels of
millions
People. Counts.
people.
Oh, okay, then
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
sorry.
we'll build this
I
industry.
didn't know
We'll
what you were
build,
talking.
Different hormones.
No, by diagnosis.
What are you?
I'm like, oh.
but it started with the delivery mechanisms, and that's part of what I like
Yeah.
to do. Like
Like I
do
might
it
think of a
again today.
suppository for
Right.
prostate,
think of a new
Cancer.
product. Think of a new.
but you can't do that with
Business.
breasts.
For me, you know the drinking birds,
Mm.
right?
They have their red
Dibs,
butt.
patent, like a
Direct
drinking
injection
CBD
to the
bird.
cancer
That,
site with breast
yeah,
cancer.
I was just
It
gonna
should be like a
say, they're
parrot.
like,
Yeah.
they just.
No, just make
Sorry to
it
make
that-
fun of that.
No,
you
no.
were starting.
I've had-
you
I
were starting
just-
with
Stuff
something
that
that
you
was.
make the suppository out
Yeah.
of, the stuff that they're injecting into the breast, it's the exact same thing.
Right.
It's cannabis.
Yep.
you know.
I was just
So the
gonna
delivery
say.
systems and all those things are hugely important, and the different
Right.
carriers and what
Exactly.
gets you to absorb
Exactly.
it quicker and things like that. I mean,
Yeah.
here I come from the neophyte era with no laboratories or anything, but we've been doing that for a long
I
time.
actually have a scientific question for you. You may know this. Because THC, when it gets ingested and through the liver, becomes 11-hydroxy-THC, I would hypothesize that there would be some analogous chemical reaction with the same protein in the liver with CBD.
There's
So
actually
does
a study
CBD
out-
become 11-hydroxy-CBD if
There's
you
actually
eat
a
it?
study I read last week that says that CBD gets turned into by the enzymes and the things in your liver into CBD. Or into THC.
Into THC.
I was just bringing that. Oh,
I
read
just-
that.
I read that
I've
too.
heard that. I've
Yeah.
also heard it was like
Lisa
myth
knows what
busted.
she's
So they're like,
I
no,
don't
it
know
doesn't
anybody we
matter.
could bust that
Yeah.
myth with.
I don't know.
Everybody I
I
know
mean,
here is
as far as my knowledge
already
is, and I'm not
chock
a
full of
chemist or
THC.
anything like that, but I didn't know
not-
that things could change that
Okay,
radically.
go test mine.
Dude,
I mean,
this is a funny thing,
Yes.
actually. We were talking about back in the day. I read a
That
marijuana.
to come next time
It was
with
called
her, she's gonna
Marijuana
pee on
Chemistry
something.
book from like
I have the
1971,
pants up things. It's
and they
like,
knew
Nice.
about CBD.
I'll do a drug test.
And across the book, there was
do
a
a drug test.
Yep.
there was a negative value
Although I did
judgment
eat
on
her
CBD
edibles last night.
because it doesn't get you high, so it's useless. And there was it was like a lesson to scientific hubris because they gave an actual
realized
process to convert
like,
your CBD into THC.
Really?
If you put it in if you dissolve it into a organic solvent like ethanol, make it very acidic, and then bring it back down to neutral at a certain temperature, some CBD will convert to THC.
See, and that just goes right over my head.
And when they were saying in this book, they said,
outside
so if you got a bunch of a marijuana plant ditchweed that only has CBD, it would be useless for anything except conversion to THC. That's the only use for CBD at all.
Well, that was
And
What was
it's
it- what was this book?
1971, marijuana chemistry. So like, when did Meshulam isolate it? 1964.
64.
So
63.
Yeah. Okay.
The
Well,
year
I was a
before.
year old, I think.
so they knew about THC barely.
Well, WebMD, the other day, I opened up
Excellent
my emails,
source.
and well,
No,
WebMD.
PubMed
Anyway,
is the only.
PubMed is
If
the
you
thing.
want to learn about cannabis, go to Google and search for
Oh, I have another one.
PubMed. PUBMED.
Oh, Abby's texting.
Everything. Just go to PubMed and start reading there. Sorry for the interruption.
That's
but I
all
wanted-
right.
Okay.
WebMD isn't the
There's
end all
another
and
one.
be
No,
all
it's
of everything.
not.
Go to PubMed.
I know.
well, what was funny
looking
that
for your
they had the slide,
Oh, you wanna go?
Because I'll
you know,
talk about
what
it.
is what is CBD? Is it safe? And that sort of thing. And they almost answered the questions. They said,
And careful.
there's not enough.
You're supposed
And
to be
everyone, it was
drinking
not
water
enough
all day
research has
today.
been done. And I'm like, sure. But it may help with inflammation, and it may help with this, that, and the other. Like, come on, WebMD, just
I do have
step
to
over
drink
the
May.
threshold.
pretty soon.
I'm
May.
chewing on the
Yeah.
other side on this one.
Just suck on it.
May is not good at
Caramels.
even in a law.
It seems
May.
like we could talk for hours, and we've gone 1.5 of those already.
90 minutes? Let's cut it off.
Love you.
Wait.
Can I say
gonna have so
happy
much fun.
birthday to Julie?
Happy
birthday,
And thank you to Carter. Thank you, Carter Baird, Jenny Gold, Bubba Zerobnick, Gunny Zerobnick, Anne-Marie Doyle, Julie Richardson, Pamela Orth. I'm Travis Lippert. Thank you very much for watching.
I hope this lasts forever.
Restorative botanical caramel.
Thank you guys for not kicking me out for being belligerent. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
See, that's I
Thank you